So, yeah, so the whole thing with Jilly Juice, it speaks to basically immortality. Like, we are actually tapping into the nectar of life that complements a spirit of energy that actually gives you substance to work from. So that's why the gods turned to ambrosia and honeymead, because it had the sugar. It gave, when they took on a form here on earth, and they were eating ambrosia. That's like the nectar of the gods, ambrosia. That is the balance of ionic and covalent. That's why they were able to live indefinitely. That's why they were immortal. I mean, when you're buzzing around, when you're a higher intelligence buzzing around the world, able to take on a human form and also mate with the inhabitants on the earth, then you're able to balance out both worlds, the ionic and the covalent world. And so this makes sense why we learn Greek mythology. Like, not even in college. Like, you could take Hellenistic studies in college. You can take really you could take really advanced studies in college to learn even the more the intricacies, the analysis of the different relationships between the gods and the demigods and mankind, and then how that would fit in with current today's thought processes, and then how you can conduct your life based upon the gods and the demigods and what they invented during those times, like Socrates and Plato and Aristotle and all of those students of the gods, like of Apollo and Artemis and Hera and Zeus. And like, why are they so important? Why is it that our humanity is fashioned and used as a replication, or somehow the Greek mythology, why humanity and Greek mythology seem to go hand in hand, and Western civilization? Okay, why is all that? And why do they make you learn it in school? How do you think Socrates got his information? If you actually trace back who taught Socrates, who taught Diotima, who taught the ones that influenced Socrates and the ones that influenced Plato, which is actually Socrates. When you trace it back to the point of origin, where did they learn their logic and reasoning? Logic comes from, logic created psychology, biology, immunology, bacteriology, all the different studies of all the logic and the sciences came from the Greek gods. And also, yes, the Hippocratic Oath and suppressing pain and evolution, which is why you don't see immortality, because somebody made a decision somewhere along the line. Some god said to their demigods and to mankind, didn't give them the full picture. They see that mankind is having issues with symptoms. They figured out how to stop a plague. That's one of the stories, that one of the gods or demigods were able to actually hold off a plague in their community. And so somebody in the gods, when they were helping mankind, the aliens, okay, we can call them aliens, call them whatever, they said, okay, we're not going to give them the full picture. And maybe people knew about the salt and the fermentation. Maybe some of the characters in the Bible were living 300, 400,000, but I have no way to really prove that, except to be, okay, I believe it or I don't believe it. But why were the gods immortal? And where are they now? Well, they certainly wouldn't let themselves be known to you guys, because you would kill them. Not all of you, but some of you are that close-minded that anything that would be different or anything that would be so out of your realm of reality, you would find a way to destroy it in body, mind, and spirit. I mean, just look. Anyone that brings up a new idea, they get denigrated. You know why? Because that is the small-mindedness of humanity. And so the gods knew this, how archaic mankind is. So they were like, you know what, we're not going to give you that gift of mortality because you really can't fucking handle it. You can't even handle new information. You can't even handle facing your fear. You can't even handle a lot of things in your life. What makes you think you can handle being on this earth on an indefinite basis, balancing out the elements as life changes? Because it's going to change. Life will always change. So yeah, so they're like, okay, well, then we're going to have Hippocrates, who was trained by Asclepius, and before that, Apollo, and then actually before that, after Apollo, it was like a centaur, Chiron, which now figures out that my dad used to work for a company called Chiron. I didn't know that's what it was. It was a centaur, but yes, Chiron is a name, it's a symbol, it's a name of the centaur that was helping mankind figure out how to heal or suppress evolution so they don't feel pain, but they could still pull out innovation out of the person through their lifespan, long or short, relative to what's going on. And so, yeah, so this is the thing. People don't ask questions. They're like, okay, so Socrates do this stuff. They go learn all their Hellenistic studies, and they go study Socrates and Plato and philosophy, and they think they're all like, oh, wonderful. They're like, well, where the hell did Socrates get this information? Oh, he just thought it up himself. And even if people did look back and saw who helped Socrates. Oh, it's a priestess. Well, who is this priestess? Because the two ladies that influenced Socrates, they were either a foreigner from somewhere, who knows where. That's what they said. She was a foreigner. They didn't even say where she was from. Another one was a priestess. Well, where the hell did she come from? How did she know that? Who taught her? See, people don't ask those kind of questions. They just take things for face value. They think that Trump and Biden and all of their authority in freaking college is like the ones that invented mankind and invented everything. They don't bother to look at who taught who, all the way down to the end of the line to figure out where it is. And then it comes that then we see then the aliens and the myth. And is it really Greek mythology or is it Greek fucking reality? And so, yes, the Greeks gave us the ability to have Western civilization, but they also squelched our potential to live indefinitely. But is it the Greeks' fault or is it the gods' fault? But somehow somebody gave us this opportunity to understand how to deal with pain. Okay? Understand how to deal with salt and fermentation. Nobody spoke to me at anything like back when I first started the J Juice. I just was like one of many people who could handle the pain, who could handle the detox symptoms from detoxing when you're taking the stuff from the over-the-counter methodologies that they're being proliferated in the holistic world. I just was fucking strong. I was just strong. So I could handle any kind of pain. And then I understood that you can't go wrong with probiotics. You can't go wrong with salt. Nothing's wrong with salt. You can't go wrong with cabbage and kale, fermented down to a pre-digested state. So what really is the issue? And I can deal with pain. And wow, I see things that are changing in my body. It's actually, I'm feeling better, looking better, talking better, whatever. And whoa, hold on a second. Do we really have to die? And so I think this whole thing with the 2019 kickoff of the COVID-19 accelerated evolution in mankind and decelerated evolution in mankind. Because your ability to evolve is based upon your strength, based upon your level of perception, based upon a lot of things. And then, yes, why people decline and why they devolve at such a fast rate and why they're getting upticks of cancer, disease, and chronic illness is because they couldn't handle the pain of life. They were always anesthetized or always in the bars, not facing their reality, and are okay with the fact that they're going to die someday and that, yeah, they're going to be exploited for whatever resources they have for a short amount of time. And then they're just going to go off into their grave completely used up. But hey, I left a legacy. I have a kid. I maybe invented something. Or you had a bunch of friends. Which, okay, nothing is wrong with that. But people say they want to live. And then when something hits them, they are then saying, I want to live, I want to live. And they do things that are actually completely the antithesis. And so that's the suffering of humanity, is the fact that we, that we have the misalignment of obviously the body, mind, and spirit, but also that the gods that actually gave us the initial information, that gave Socrates back in the BC days, they gave, Hippocrates and all these different Greek philosophers, they're the ones that gave us something to work with, but they were like, we don't think you can handle indefinite life yet. We don't think you can handle immortality yet. So we're going to let you cycle through your bullshit. Like you watch your friends and family cycle through their bullshit, and maybe they wake up one day and change their life, or maybe they just go back into the system of the universe, Earth's waiting room, called the universe. And so, yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I'm sure Zeus and Poseidon and all the different gods, the Olympians, were trying to figure out, really, what does mankind deserve? Well, back then, they probably didn't deserve immortality because they couldn't even take responsibility for a lot of things. But they also had to build up society. They had to create academies and education and different levels of society, and then pulling out the innovation and also the talents, the poetry, like, the Homer's, the Iliad, and the Odyssey, and all the different arts. And they knew that with all the seeds from Zeus and from Poseidon, and they had many, many lovers, that they were spreading their diverse divine seed all over the earth, of which some of you have been touched by a divine, but you don't know how to keep it. Because then you get lost in the human emotions, get lost in the distractions, the politics, religion, and the science, get stuck on one doctrine like the Bible, which is very relevant, but then you have to expand beyond the Bible. You have to expand beyond your textbooks. You have to expand beyond just your reality and start asking the questions. Will you have all the answers? No. Do I know what's going to happen to me and all of you in the future? I have no idea. I don't have all the answers, but I have enough of them to understand how to maintain life. Do I know what's going to happen in our future? Absolutely not. But I know what's going to happen right now. And the future and the past are really like a theory, because you're always continuously living in now. And so if you understand how to harness life and energy now, then the past and the future are really irrelevant. The future is now and the past is now. You just choose which direction you want to stay in. You want to stay in the past, or you want to live for the future? Some of you haven't figured that out yet. It's like, I don't care if you buy the book. You can buy the book or not buy the book. What I really care about is you apply the Jilly Juice to your life, and you do it, and you report on it. It's not enough to say, yeah, I agree with you. What's enough is that you actually exemplify that you've seen a change in your body, mind, and spirit. You're not going to see a change in your mind if you can't get through your physical symptoms. Some of you want to jump the gun. And there's no fucking way you're going to have a higher intellect when you still have predispositions in your physical body. And so, yeah, you're going to have to pay the piper. You're going to have to go through it like everybody else. And so immortality and indefinite life is not free. You got to work for that shit. But hey, if you are so used to having things given to you, you're so used to just plucking your hormones and getting your pleasure and getting to your ayahuasca pineal gland, and you're wanting to go do all that stuff, then yeah, you're not going to want to work through your body, mind, and spirit issues. So you're going to end up, inevitably passing away now or in the future. But you really have to face those demons. And yes, there's a reason why we learned Greek mythology, because it's not mythology. It's actually a reality. We were taught by higher intelligent forms, because nobody thinks of anything in a vacuum. Nobody can just say, okay, when a baby is born, they don't automatically speak. They don't automatically are able to go and run a vacuum. They don't cook. You have to teach every single baby everything as it grows up. What do you think? The first person who thought of math and English, where do you think they got their information from? One person say, oh, I know what 1 is. Oh, I know what 2 is. and they all got together and hung out. She's like, oh yeah, I'm 1 and I'm 2 and I'm 3 and I'm 4. No. Somebody had to put the context of how you put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, how to put that together. Oh, I get it. 1 plus 1 equals 2. 2 plus 1 equals 3. 3 plus 1 equals 4. And that's what you do with a human who is able to learn, as well as a baby that's able to learn. Maybe not a baby, but you know what I mean. So you take a human that's been manipulated or has some kind of made like a demigod who has probably the genetics of Zeus, who has a lot of knowledge, and then is bearing babies that have the predispositions to really grasp difficult concepts like logic and reasoning. And then they learn that, and then they do what? What do you do? You teach somebody. You teach your friends and family how to put together a car, or how to put together this, or how to do that. I mean, I learned how to play with a computer and Microsoft, whatever, in a class. Okay? And that's what they also, the Western Civ and the Greeks, they also created the academies. And then mankind figured out how to manipulate the academies to only give you so much information, but not the big picture. Because then when they can put MK Ultra on you to foster your strengths and atrophy your weaknesses, that's how they get the most innovation, exploit the most innovation out of a person who's very happy to be a party to that, because they get fame, they get fortune, they get the attaboy, the kudos. They leave a legacy, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Oh yeah, she left a legacy. So they have no problem being exploited for their resources until their body cannot do it anymore. And so I'm saying, you know what? You can still be innovative and give the gift of your intelligence to humanity without sacrificing your body for it. Because then you're able to now bring forth the body, mind, and spirit together. And yes, immortality, and maybe the gods back then were really no different than what you and I look like. People think that they're probably this floating being that's all ethereal and or maybe weird. And so they have this preconceived notion of what a god looks like or is going to sound like. And maybe you've talked to a god or had a demigod and you don't even know it. Maybe you ran into them somewhere in the world and you would never know it because they look like you and me. You could be a freaking demigod that was suppressed. You could have divine seeds, very maximum amount of divine seeds that you're not even realizing because you have been taught to suppress your evolution. Humans don't even know their own potential because of their dogmatic belief systems that will not allow them to leave their box that they have created for themselves. And so that's why people die. Because they allowed somebody else to dictate their reality. Humans don't even know who they are. And when they find out who they are, they immediately reject it because it doesn't align with what they were taught throughout their whole life. And then the echo chambers in their world will keep reinforcing that until the person passes away. And then, okay, whatever. So Greek mythology is not a mythology. It's a reality. The logic and the reasoning came from a higher form of intelligence. To even think that you can actually manipulate the brain through trauma and pain to bring up the strengths takes a higher form of intelligence to know this. Because a caveman would not know to go and manipulate somebody's brain through electrodes to bring up certain things that need to be brought up for whatever reason. Or to measure the neurological synapses of parts of your brain. And that's why people die, because the gut brain, their gut's all messed up, sending messed up messages to your brain. You're not getting the full picture, so your brain's only working that maybe 10, 20%. And then it's as your gut deteriorates, so does your brain. So when your gut deteriorates, your brain deteriorates, and then when your gut finally stops functioning, your brain stops functioning. And that's why people die from brain failure or heart failure, because of the electrical impulses that they can't handle. And so that's why I posted on my Facebook the gut-brain axis, because those two are connected. Why we have autism. The gut is messed up, messing with the neurological messages. But that's not just autism, that's every other neurological issue. You have gut issues that you're trying to manage with all of your pills, powders, and supplements, and detoxes, and probiotics that you get over the counter. That's not balanced correctly. And then you're told that don't feel pain. It's not good to feel pain. And it's okay to die. So, yeah, you know, the philosophers of the past in, you know, the Greek philosophers, they gave us a gift. But for us to move past a certain level that they gave us, we now have to learn how to expand our belief systems and go beyond what was told to us and say maybe we are individually gods. But if you think that you can't be a god because that goes against your belief system, then yeah, you'll pass away. You'll be a human mortal that will then be recycled back to Earth's waiting room, floating around like a Polaroid snapshot. Maybe you might earn your way into another dimension, and who knows what that entails. But I, for one, do not look forward or do not want to die. I don't want to be off as a spirit floating around Earth's waiting room. This is the Garden of Eden. This Earth is the place to be. The grass ain't greener somewhere else. If you can't handle your life here, what makes you think that you're going to be welcome anywhere else? You would destroy another meat suit. You would destroy another belief system, another spirit. Yeah, if you can't figure it out here on Earth, there's no way you're going to figure it out anywhere else. So, good luck to you guys. Bye.